It's usually been my experience that students actually know more than they think they do. They have retained more, they have worked harder and absorbed more, they have done a better job mastering the material than may be apparent to them. So make a little bit of a leap of faith here that you actually have been taught this material and that the exam will fairly assess that.
You need to know what kind of exam the professor is going to give and what the professor's expectations are. You should also probably try to get a sense of whether the faculty member is asking you a question to which he or she thinks the answer is clear, or which he or she is making deliberately unclear.
I would urge people to find out if there are tests and model answers that are available for people to study. You're not taking property, you're taking Professor Smith's take on property.
The better use of your time right now is just to do practice questions and to do exams. And if you encounter stuff that you don't know and you don't understand, then go back to the materials.
Go talk to the prof and just simply ask, what are you expecting us to learn? What are the things that you consider very, 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 very important and valuable for us as lawyers? Because usually that will manifest itself in what is taught.
Or if you were talking over with two other people, you couldn't agree on something. Then I'd go back to the faculty member and say, I went over this exam and here's what I thought the answer was. Did I get the main points? And we're here to answer that.
I will hunt hard to find something in the answer that deserves recognition and points. It is impossible to do that when the student hasn't written anything.
There's nothing that says that you have to answer in order. Go to something else that you're more familiar with. Start with the stuff that's maybe for you, lower hanging fruit, and then go back to the harder stuff.
It's a helpful bit of advice to admonish people, to warn them that they need to take a look at the very beginning of the exam, how much time is recommended for each of the sections, then keep track of their exam time and manage it, so that they don't wind up running out of time at the very end.
If you run out of time, write, I ran out of time. And if I hadn't run out of time, I'd have written about these three other topics. It matters a lot in terms of your grade, whether you ran out of time but saw an issue.
Do try to just take a breath when you start. When the professors tell you that they don't want you to throw everything on the paper, they do actually mean that. It's hard to resist that urge to immediately jump into writing, but I do find that if you just take a few moments to organize your thoughts, kind of try and structure the exam, it typically ends up in a better final product.
Read the question twice before you begin to write out the answer. And you may even want to read it with a ruler, line by line, just to make sure you're not missing any words, because every word in an exam is important.
If it's a closed book exam, get out a piece of paper and write down a list of all the topics that you studied in that class. If it's an open book exam, write it out beforehand. When you get the exam, look at that list, read the question, thinking about what's there, go look at the list again, and go down that list and say, is this, and ask everything on that list.
The most important thing is to know exactly what you're being asked to respond to, and to respond to that, and not to go off on tangents or to address things that you have not been asked to address.
Sometimes in answering an essay question, you don't know enough to answer the question. Now that may be deliberate on the part of the faculty member, or it may be inadvertent. But if there's some other fact you don't know, say there's another fact you don't know. Don't just blindly assume facts which may not be what the faculty member had in mind at all.
I can't emphasize enough to all the students, use of the word because. It sounds silly, but especially in the issue spotting exams, right? We keep emphasizing that you want to connect the law with the application. I suspect that the times we're in helped everybody maybe prioritize the important things in life. But I think all the resilience and the assets that students are gaining right now, even though it's a pressure cooker like any other, will help them later on, both personally and as legal professionals, as advocates for clients.
If you can get through this, you can get through anything. The skills that you've learned, the patience, the ability to sustain in a very restricted environment, being able to switch to an entirely new form of learning. I think these are all skills that will serve people very well.
If all else fails, just communicate with us. We can help you. We have the resources, and you will be successful.